Bulk creation and posting of project invoices. Dynamics AX has a batch framework for setting up batch jobs, and the batch framework is available on project invoicing, and it allows you to create and post project invoices in bulk or in batch. To create a batch job for creation of invoices, let's navigate to the Project Management and Accounting area page. And on the area page, under Periodic, let's expand the Project Invoices menu item. And here there are two jobs for creating project invoices. There is project invoices for projects or contracts that do not follow the billing rule framework, and there is another job for creating invoice proposals for contracts with billing rules. The third job, which is for posting project invoice proposals, takes care of invoice proposals that have already been created and posts them as a batch in bulk. So you can schedule batch jobs under this periodic section for creation of invoice proposals. Let's look at the Create Invoice Proposals dialog in the batch. So you can select the invoicing method, which is both in this case. You can include transaction types, a specific transaction type or multiple transaction types. You can set up to say all our transactions will be billed on a certain date, whereas all expense transactions will be billed on a different date. You can set a start date and an end date for the project to filter the transactions that have occurred between that start and end dates. And you can also set an invoice date for all invoices created in this batch job. So, and then you can select project contracts and projects that are going to be invoiced in this particular batch job. So you can set each batch job allows you to set a recurrence, which is the number of times the batch job gets run and up to what date. So you can set a recurrence pattern in minutes, hours, days, or weeks, and you can specify the number of times the job needs to run, and you can specify the date range of when you want the job to end. So these are some of the parameters for create invoice proposals. On the post project invoices, you can select you have a select query that will allow you to select a project or a project contract, and you can create all invoice proposals for those projects or project contracts, and it lists out. In this case, I've selected all invoices that are in approved or open status to be posted, and so this periodic job then takes all invoices that have been posted and that have been approved or in open status and post them. And you can specifically remove transactions from this post dialog. One thing to note that with the post project invoice proposals dialog, there is no facility to do a late selection of your query. So whatever settings you have at the time of creating this batch job, the system figures out the invoice proposals by applying that query filter at the time of creating the batch job, and the query is not reapplied when the batch job is actually run. That is one thing to note in the post invoice proposals batch job, which is not so much of a hindrance with create invoice proposals. In the create invoice proposal batch job, you can set the query criteria, and those are reapplied every time the batch job is run. So let's review some of the concepts we have talked about with batch and recurrence. A batch job is a group of tasks that are submitted to the AOS instance for automatic processing, and creation of posting of invoices can be set up as a batch job. Recurrence, it is a defined interval that you can specify on the batch job to govern when the batch job, how many times it runs, and between what date intervals it runs.